So we started this topic last week, Wednesday, talking about adoption. And, for the benefit of those who are just tuning in for the first time, kindly give us like a refresher course, because I know we made mention of, what adoption is and, the challenges Nigerian parents face.
We said there's a need for us to create an adoption-friendly society. And that begins with the state actors not stigmatizing people who decide to adopt. That's one. We also agreed that the same way you look forward to having your baby for those who are pregnant, you also need to celebrate and look forward to your adopting your child. And we also said that it is a myth with respect to some of the misconceptions, some of the fact that when you adopt a child, the child comes with evil spirits, evil forces, and all of those things. It is a myth and it's a misconception. Adopted children are lovely, and sometimes they can even do better than quote unquote biological children. Now, having said that, your capacity to love an adopted child is also dependent on your ability to love yourself, and understand that everybody or everyone is potentially a parent if you have that capacity to love every child equally. So I think that's just it. And we talked about the process, and one of the things that I took home, because somebody took me up and he said, did we say something like if you are a single woman, you won't be allowed to adopt a son? Did we say something like that?
No.
Anyway, somebody asked that question.
Okay.
If you're adopting, for a single lady who wants to adopt, you can only be allowed to adopt a girl for obvious reasons. And males, it's rigorous for a single male to actually adopt.
Any gender now?
Yes.
Okay.
It's often impossible.
Okay, so now that you've mentioned, you've already touched on that. I know we started the conversation about the process now, how tedious it can be here in Nigeria. I know I made reference to a movie I watched last week, Instant Family, of how seamless the situation is. So could you not, because we rushed those points last week, let's just know the challenges we face as a country and how we can better make the process seamless for people who want to adopt.
Well, the process can't be seamless. It can be fast. The process can be faster than it should be. And that is because there's an assumption on the giving side. There's an assumption that you are adopting because you're not able to have a child. And that's wrong. Some people actually don't want to have biological children. They don't want to. They have everything, but they can't. They don't want to conceive. They don't want to go through the process of conception and delivery. So adoption becomes their option, especially when surrogacy is a problem. So because the state actors now assume that you want to mask your childlessness through adoption, they start to, the usual Nigeria thing that comes in the way.
Yeah.
So they extort them. That is as crude as that. And that is why the baby factory thing is thriving in this part of the world, because adoptive couples are seen as trying to run away from the stigma that comes with childlessness. Otherwise, it's simple. You get a lawyer and you brief the lawyer. The lawyer goes to the Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Welfare, depending on the state, and files your request. And then they start to process, and in the form you're going to submit, there are so many information you'll be required to provide. Your name, as much as possible, where you're from, your state of origin, your faith, all of those things, age, where you work, what you do, and then of course your bank statement is important.
Right.
Now, whereas when you meet a lady for a guy and the usual adult thing, and somebody gets pregnant, nobody's interested in your bank account. You have so many poor people who have kids all over the place. But when it's time to adopt, you need to show not just that you can love this child, you need to show that you can train this child, that you're financially capable of taking care of this child. So that's where your bank account comes in. And then there's also another point where you're meant to go for mental health assessment to be sure all is well with you upstairs and all of that. And then once you've submitted all of that, they'll go through, they invite you for interviews, and then it takes some time. You're also meant to do some health checks for this purpose. So in between they visit you, they conduct another interview this time with your spouse and you present, and then they ask, are there concerns that you have? Are there things we need to know? All of those things you depending on the social welfare officer that is coming to do the interview. Now they go and review your feedbacks, your comments, everything you've told them. They'll go and review them. If at the end of the day they are fine that these guys are fantastic, there's this document. It's called the adoption paper itself. That is what empowers you to go and pick up a child in any orphanage that you're interested in. And once the child starts to live with you, they visit you twice a month. After a while, it is once a month. Much later, after 6 months, it is the frequency reduces until it is once in 6 months, once in a year. And then there's a certification you're given eventually that these guys are cool, are good to go.
Okay, so when we let's move over from, of course, the process of adopting a child to when the adoption is done now. Especially in the case where you have an adopted child and your own biological children.
Yes.
Especially when there's awareness maybe to the child knows, and probably people around you also know that, okay, this child is adopted. When it comes to, because African parents being African parents, they want to ensure that the discipline I give to my child is the same I'm going to give to the adopted child, because they are all seen as my children.
Not seen.
They're all. I believe that they're all my children. I see them as my children, right?
Yeah, good.
But there's always this this issue whereby you're trying to discipline the adopted child, and people start to say things, or it is perceived that you're being too hard on this particular person because this person is adopted. You know, it's a case of, if it was your biological child, will you do this to this person? So how can parents, balance everything, especially when you have your own biological children and children adopted?
Well, if you're living on the streets, on the road, where everybody sees your house and what goes on there, that's when this becomes an issue. But if you live in the privacy of your home, who is coming to look at how you're raising your children? I think the challenge there is for you who the adoptive parent now. You need to be certain that you can love your biological children as much as, your adopted children as much as you love your biological children. I mean, in my house, I think I even love my third daughter. I hope nobody's listening now. My third girl, I love that babe, man. I mean, I love her.
Okay.
But I don't want to say I love her more.
Hey, you know it else to do.
Yes, I would. But you just have to be open. You get it? You can love all of them. Now, where the problem comes in is if you are not able to brief your biological children enough for them to see what mom and dad are about to do. You get the point? If you're not able to carry them along to the point where they've seen that we have a fantastic parent, and they are benevolent, they are kind, and this is an extension of that kindness, that may become a problem. But if you're able to carry them along and you do so well, then you're good. There'll really be no need for creating that dichotomy. These are adopted, these are not. No. They will blend. I can tell you, children are good when it comes to blending. In a few months, less than a year, you won't be able to draw a line between
them.
Yes.
All right, still parenting today, and we're talking adoption. We're going to go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll wrap things up. Stay here.
City 1051 FM, your number one lifestyle station.
Uncle Kingsley, we talked about something off air, and you said it was a question somebody asked you. Perhaps just tell us what parents should actually know, or people who have now adopted now, what they should do to ensure that the whole process is successful?
Be open. When I mean open, share every information you're requested to provide. There's really no holding anything, but you need a hand holding. Somebody needs to hold your hand to do this, especially someone who either has adopted or a lawyer. The lawyer will help you avoid being fleeced when you start engaging with the ministry, then the counselor or the support you require is also meant to allay your fears and just keep you going, because sometimes this process can really be long. So while you're waiting, what are you supposed to do? So you need somebody to share their own experience to help you along the way. And it's also important that you ensure that the person whose experience your piggyback you're trying to leverage, it's somebody who has an authentic experience. By authentic experience, I'm referring to the kind of experience that you can really bank on, not somebody who hasn't done so well relating with their adopted child. For instance, I know people who really have this fantasy about how this process will be, and then you adopted a child, and the child is not whom you thought he or she would be. And some parents have actually gone to the point where they are regretting adopting a child. But you see, you're not going to blame the child, you need to blame yourself. So parents need to be careful and leverage on every experience that is worthwhile.